We're partying here tonight on 2.5 opinions.
Okay,
All right,
the song was much better, but
Yeah, no,
that's a cool song. I really like that song.
Yeah. I thought it's the reggae, aspect to it. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, we can hop with this, yeah. So, but okay, everybody, in case you haven't figured it out, this is 2.5 opinions. What's your opinion?
Your opinion doesn't matter. It's only my opinion that counts.
Oh,
So
yes.
if your opinion matches my opinion, then we're gonna get along much better.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening.
We're coming swinging tonight.
Yeah, not happening.
If your opinion hurts my feelings and my opinion, then I'm going to take it personal.
Well, if your opinion hurts my opinion and my feelings,
well,
not only am I going to take it personal, but I'm going to sue you for harassment.
But I identify with my opinion, so therefore, no. we are in a touchy-feely world, aren't we?
Oh, man.
I got, we were talking at work this past week, and one of the ladies up there at work, she had mentioned that her son, who's a lawyer, in it's a quasi mid-level law firm in another state, and he just came up under office charges, I guess, or a complaint. It's like what we would call in the government, Frank, this is the EEO complaint, equal opportunity complaint, meaning that you've crossed the lines on something sexual, racial, gender, whatever it may be. You've crossed the lines, and now a complaint's been launched against you. Well, this guy got a complaint against him because he in looking at and voicing towards a female coworker, he said, "My, you look nice today," and she filed a complaint. And the whole topic of the conversation at work is, oh my gosh, we have become a society of hurt feelings. We've become a society of looking for opportunity to be offended.
Right.
We, the offended, are against anybody and everybody that could possibly say something, do something, nod the wrong way, dress the wrong way. I mean, it's a crazy. It really is a crazy mixed up world when now the Democratic Party is imploding on themselves because of all the Democratic senators that for years have been copping a feel, so to speak, or saying
groping or whatever. Yeah.
And now even they're getting lambasted. Why? Well, because we raised a society of individuals that are coming of age and are now coming into power I'm trying to find the right words without being vulgar here, but they drank from the pitcher that we've been feeding them for 40 years of nobody can come against you in the slightest, my little snowflake. You are good and perfect in all your ways. And so therefore, anybody that says anything that can be construed as unequal or unappreciative of you is now therefore labeled offensive.
It's because snowflakes are so fragile, and even the minorest, littlest, tiniest, itty-bitty bit of heat, friction, goes, I'm melting.
But what about poor Esau? Those wives that you have gained, those Canaanite women. Ooh, now we're being racist and sexist.
Right.
They're causing pain upon your poor mother and your poor father. And now that's a patriarchal society. That's got to be wrong too. And so what does Esau do? He goes out and he gets a wife from Ishmael. Surely Ishmael should be all right, because after all, God blessed Ishmael.
And it's Dad's brother.
We have no problems with Ishmael. So this should be good. Poor Esau. He's just trying to do the right thing.
And thus the pendulum swings.
Yes, and so do we feel sorry for Esau, or do we feel sorry for Jacob and poor Jacob? Oh, poor little Johnny.
Now you see, that's the problem. Now we're choosing a religious bent because Jacob becomes Israel. Israel is the father of the tribes and the nation. So therefore it's a religious. So you can't do that. You can't choose.
Oh, but the Jews want to let us believe that this is Esau's angel that changed his name.
Mm.
And Esau's
Well,
a bad guy after all, because for centuries, during the Roman occupation, during the horrible times of Roman persecution, Rome was considered and labeled as Esau, Edom. Yep. Rome
Yep.
is Edom. And since Rome really never went away, because Rome transpired or evolved into, and this is historical, this is not Chris speaking, and this is not trying to say bad, horrible things about Christendom or Christianity or any individual's personal beliefs. But Rome did transpire into two separate nations, and the prominent nation then declared to be a Roman is to be a Christian, and to be a Christian is to be a Roman, and therefore Rome identified with Christianity. In a Jewish mindset under persecution, Edom has now has transpired from Rome to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even up to the 5th and 6th century, Edom in a Jewish mindset, because all of our persecutions are now coming from really Christians and Christianized nations. Rome transpired into Christianity, and that's Edom. Esau is always considered as a bad, horrible, evil person in the Jewish mindset until we come up to the age of Messiah, until we come up to Moshe leading the tribes out of Egypt. Leave Edom alone, says God. Don't touch that. I've already given them a blessing.
Right.
So what are we going to read? How are we going to study this tonight without hurting my feelings?
You're out of luck. You're out of luck. We're going to hurt everybody's feelings because we want to. No, I'm kidding, folks. I'm
you
kidding.
are a sad, strange little man.
Yes, I know. So I figured the first Aliyah would cover it, and then we can branch from there if that's okay with you guys.
Sounds like we've got a biscuit-eating plan to roll with.
And we've already got a hot question in the chat room.
Uh-oh.
Oh my, this is a good question. And it feeds right into, I think, we didn't plan on going anywhere tonight for a change, but so we'll be rambling all over. But
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, Jesse, before I do the blessing, do you got the phone number, or can you get it afterwards, or?
We'll save that for afterwards.
All righty then. So, excuse me, a little bit of a dry throat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bakar banu mikol ha'amim v'tan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah. Melech Naaman.
Amen. The first Aliyah, read from Chabad's translation, chapter 32, verse 4 through 13. And Jacob sent angels ahead of him to his brother Esau, to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, So shall you say to my master, to Esau, Thus said your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban, and I have tarried until now. And I have acquired oxen and donkeys, flocks, manservants, and maidservants. And I have sent to tell this to my master, to find favor in your eyes. The angels returned to Jacob, saying, We came to your brother, to Esau, and he is also coming toward you, and 400 men are with him. Jacob became very frightened and was distressed. So he divided the people who were with him, and the flocks, and the cattle, and the camels into 2 camps. And he said, If Esau comes to one camp and strikes it down, the remaining camp will escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, Return to your land and to your birthplace, and I will do good to you. I have become small from all the kindnesses and from all the truth that you have rendered your servant. For with my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. Now deliver me from the hand of my brother and from the hand of Esau, for I am afraid of him, lest he come and strike me, and strike a mother with children. And you said, I will surely do good with you, and I will make your seed as numerous as the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted because of multitude.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah imet v'kayei olam nata b'tukenu Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah El melech ne'eman.
Amen. So this is going to be yet another fun night to roll with. I mean, we're dealing with Jacob and Esau once again, and we're dealing with this so-called battleground of wrestling, and we're dealing with descendants of Esau. And wait, what? We got so much going on here.
That Jacob has actually become small. I think he's been shrunk. That's what it says, right? He became small. They shrunk him, so he's like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type small, or what?
I don't think Jacob got a hold of the shrink machine, so we're good there.
Oh,
No, wait a minute. Help the audience. What are you talking about, Frank? Show me a verse and chapter and verse. Where are you getting to that Jacob
32:11
shrank?
Well, he says small. I didn't, it doesn't say shrank, but it says small. I'm trying to figure out what's the correlation here. But in 32:11, I have become small from all the kindnesses and from all the truth that you have rendered your servant. For with my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. So
trying to do the entire Hebrew on that will require me to have a little bit of practice ahead of time, but I can at least get us the Hebrew target word that you're working on, which is kanoti, which for those who at least know basic Hebrew, katan is the primary used word for small. Katon is the word we're focusing on here because katoni, there we go. That's how you would pronounce it.
Katoni, you're correct.
Because the implication in this one is focusing the word as a possession to Jacob because he's the one speaking. So adding T at the end would indicate he is directing it to himself, which is kind of odd considering the use of the word.
Well, it is, and it's a strange usage of the word. I mean, like you said, Jesse, katan. For Messianics, we should be familiar with the word katan. We have a talit katan, the small talit. Most Messianics do not wear one, but within Judaism, the talit katan is the shirt, the four-cornered shirt that you put on underneath your clothes. And that's what the tzitzit are tied to. Within Messianics, we have the talit gadol, the big talit, the large, the great talit, which is the prayer shawl which you drape over your head and or over your shoulders. So within this is all I'm trying to get to is the root word here is katon. Oh, Jesse gave me a signal. He says, "I got to get something to drink," and so he's running off, which means you and Frank talk for a little bit. And so
he's giving us the sign, stretch it out,
Yeah, exactly. But
make it bigger.
This is a strange word because it's referring to an individual that's becoming small, and we don't see the cognate of this word like this anyplace else. We see other places where the idea is certainly spoken of, hinted at, if not outright addressed, and it's going to come with in 2 Samuel as David is being blessed by God. Interesting. God is blessing Israel or Jacob. here.
Mhm.
But David is being blessed by God, that and the inference is that the Messiah will come from you, that nations will be blessed by you, that God will build his house based upon your lineage.
That sounds familiar.
And David responds with that what you're speaking about me is a small matter. The katoni, or the katon, it's a small thing for you to do, as I understand the greatness of the El Shaddai, the Almighty. And so we have this cognate, or this play on words almost in English, but in Hebrew, the mindset is Jacob says, I myself have become small. What's the importance of him of saying that he has been diminished as a result of the mercies that God has shown?
Aha! This
There
is
you go. I said
this is actually.
I
I know.
teed up the ball. You're on the ninth hole. Ready?
He's queuing up the ball, and look, ooh, there he goes, right in the hole. Hole in one. No, sorry, it's my best impression of Bill Murray. Yeah, freeze, gopher. No, I, this is actually a point that I get on my my Facebook feed. Rabbi Shmuley, and I'm probably going to mispronounce his last name, Batek, and he said this is the only place in Torah that this particular word, the way it's said, the way it's written down, is used. It is, as Chris pointed out, used in Tanakh, but in this one place, and the gist of it was that he was saying that Jacob, instead of becoming arrogant because of all his possessions and all his wealth, has become more humble, more reduced in the way he carries himself. He's not, out there puffing up his chest and strutting, hey, look, I got 11 kids, or 11.5, and walking around like I'm the man. No, he's being very humble, and he's saying, because of all the mercies that the Most High has given him, has shown him, has blessed him with, that he is humble, which is a virtue.
And the way you're saying it, Frank, and I just want to interrupt for just a second,
Sure.
because if you're looking at an English Bible or a Christian Bible, then the New American Standard, King James, all the different versions of the Christian Bible is going to translate this as, I am unworthy of the mercies, or I am unworthy of the loving kindness and all the faithfulness which you have shown. And this is sometimes a sad thing. It really is. It's sad whenever you read certain verses from a Christian Bible, because they're doing the best they can with the translation.
Oh yeah,
but they're trying to give you a modern day understanding. But in Hebrew, like what Frank is saying, this word, it doesn't really mean unworthy.
Mm-mm.
And even in context, it doesn't mean I am unworthy of your mercies. Moses is choosing a specific particular word and the cognate of this word by attributing it to Jacob himself has become small. And there's only 3 other times where the word katon is used in all of Tanakh. That itself should trigger something in someone's mind. But how would you know this if you never read it in Hebrew? If you don't know Hebrew, some of the subtleties, some of the I want to say spiritual understandings of things. Right. Remember, we on 2.5 Opinions, we're of the opinion that Moshe is trying to write down 72 ways of understanding God with every verse that he writes. How do you do that? You choose specific words that are going to demand you investigate, why did you choose this word?
And the point you made is very, very poignant. It's the modern translations from the Tyndale on up, okay, King Jimmy, etc. They use the best word that they could figure in their environment, okay? they don't know the Hebraisms of the language as it was written at that time. Okay, they don't know the cultural norms and the mores that swirl together. This is what Moses is writing down so that he can impart some wisdom by just a word. I think that's amazing, personally. But anyway, so did I hit with something that you were trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. So ketoni is I am small, or I have become small. Whereas in 2 Samuel, the keton is, and yet this incident is insignificant in your eyes. Or in 1 Chronicles, this was a small thing and small in your eyes, O God, but you have spoken of your servant's house for a great, for an eternity to come. And then the third time is going to be, let's see, the first time is in 2 Samuel 7:19. Second one is 1 Chronicles 17:17. And then we're going to find in Amos 8:5. This one's a little bit different. I don't really want to go there because it's really going off into a different direction. But it says, when will the new moon be over so that we may sell grain? In other words, it's those that are belaboring, okay, we're belaboring our traditions. Okay, Sabbath starts now and Sabbath ends then, and I can't really go out and do what I want to do. I can't do my gardening. I can't do my selling. I can't do my buying. I can't make a profit. I can't have any fun at all on Sabbath. And now we've got this whole new moon thing where the new moon is a Sabbath. And so God is chastising Israel by quoting Israel, when Israel says, when will the new moon be over so that we may sell grain, and the Sabbath that we may open the wheat market, to make small the bushel and make large the shekel.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah, it means, when is the Sabbath going to be over so that I can go make a profit over what I have?
Right. And that I can sell small stuff and make big profits.
Yeah, so Amos is using the word in a different light, but 2 Samuel and 1 Chronicles actually really does deal with the same idea of what we're looking at here, and that is I am a small matter to you, but yet you have bestowed your mercy. And sometimes we don't understand mercy, whether it be translated as loving kindness or however. I mean, even the word cognate of the word mercy in Hebrew, Aramaic, and other languages is the multi-breasted one.
Right.
What? Where do you come from with that? What is that crazy? That's Meshuggah, Chris. Well, the idea is someone that is able to feed and nourish all babes. Not because the babe deserves it, not because the babe has earned it, not because there's anything about an infant other than I am bestowing all that I have so that you may survive and you may live and grow and become that which you're supposed to become.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Jacob is relaying here, or at least the words that Moshe has chosen for this, is I have become small, even in light of all of your mercies and all of your faithfulness, and that faithfulness is your trustworthiness, which you have shown to me, because I came out of here with only my staff, and look how I've returned. I've returned a nation. And it goes right back to something that one of our listeners posted on Lamb Chat is, wait a minute, didn't Jacob's mommy pray to God? Didn't she go up to Shem and say, Shem, what's wrong with me? Because if this is supposed to be such a great blessing of our father Abraham, then why am I so troubled, even fearing death? And the answer is because there's two great nations warring within your belly. And here we have the first introduction of Jacob and Esau. Is Esau bad only because Jacob is our hero? It seems like lots of times within Judaism, and certainly so within our own society, we have to have a hero. And if we have a hero, there must be a villain.
Right. Because we have to have light and we have to have darkness.
Yeah, and with every story, we find a villain. Pharaoh's a villain. Nimrod's the villain. We go all the way through this, and now my twin brother is the villain? Is that really what God wants us to understand with this? Because at the end of this, Esau is going to be blessed, and as we come out of Egypt, Esau's not to be touched.
Right.
That's odd.
And it's just back to a topic you've spoke on many times. You know, there are two wolves inside you, two situations, one animalistic, one spiritual. Which do you feed? In this picture, Esau is more animalistic than spiritual, and Jacob is more spiritual than animalistic. But we also get, you're no longer Jacob, you're Israel. And then the whole thing starts all over again with whenever you read from here on, well, Jacob did this, but Israel did this. And Jacob did this, but Israel did this. It's the same darn guy. But it has to do with how he's reacting to the situation. And the same thing goes for Israel. If the people of Israel act one way, they're called Israel. If they act another way, they're called Jacob. And it's something to keep in your mind, in the forefront of your mind, when you're reading the Torah and when you're reading Tanakh. So,
and lots of times we take on a certain bias based on whatever upbringing, whatever the teaching, whether it's a Jewish teaching, Christian teaching. We take on a certain bias, and within that bias, we force read certain aspects. Someone on the chat room brought up something, and I know we talked about it years ago, and we never really came back and readdressed that issue. And that is, why do we consider this battle with Jacob and Esau in the womb as Esau being the bad guy wanting to kill Jacob? Well, I know there's a couple Messianic teachers that come up with some interesting points and great teachings on this, and I don't disagree with them. But at the same time, what precludes us from flipping the story the other way around? That Esau was trying to escape from Jacob's grasp.
After all, he had a hold of his heel, right?
Yes. I mean, there's interesting things on this. Again, I am not taking a side on this. All I want to do is present some questions, because I think we can answer these questions as we read through the rest of Tanakh and see what is the type of person that God is going to bless, or that the fathers will bless, and why they do not bless others, or why the blessings are not quite the same with any of the children.
As soon as you said that, it brought to mind the direction that has been perplexing me, and I still need to look more into it. So we'll get to this topic later on in the show. But you say that Esau was trying to get away from Jacob's grasp. It brings to mind that later on we find out that Jacob and Esau's families and nations become too large, and Esau leaves to Mount Seir to establish his own nation.
I know it, and that's funny. Is what we miss so much when we read the Torah portions. Is we don't understand why is this location significant that Moshe would call it out, where other locations he doesn't call out or even address. Why is this location so important that it must be immemorialized throughout all of time and be written down, that 3 different religions will read this? Some will gloss over it. Others will put more importance on it than what it is, or the wrong importance on it. But nonetheless, Jesse, you've got a point. Esau went where and Jacob went where? And then Esau produced, Jesse, you brought it up to me earlier today, of at the end of our Torah portion, there's chieftains that come from Esau. Why are they called chieftains, whereas the descendants of Jacob are not called chieftains? It's a different word. But Esau, they're called chieftains, and we presume they're princes and kings, and they kind of die off in obscurity, but yet some of those names come back around again, and we don't really get too much detail out of Esau. After all, this is the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not Abraham, Isaac, and Esau.
I do
Well,
believe one of those descendants of Esau, I don't know if it is the same descendant we all know and hate and should blot out of all existence, but one of the descendants is Amalek.
hmm
Oh, no, it
and
is.
Midian.
It is the same. Amalek is the descendant of Esau.
Yep.
But it's. I'm just. Again, I'm throwing things out. It's one of those food for thought. Why do we choose to interpret Torah the way we interpret it?
Here's something on your chieftain thing. The King James says the Duke of, the Duke of, the Duke of, not chieftain. Again,
And some,
trying to
yeah, and some versions will say prince, and
Right.
the word in Hebrew is generally translated as a chieftain or a chief or a leader, and the idea is the prince or a minor king.
right. A minor king, that means he's good with digging? Is that what you mean?
It'd be like the lords in England.
Yeah.
You've got multiple lords, but only one king.
Right. So a
Each
lesser
lords
ruler.
have power and authority on their own right.
Right. A lesser ruler. Okay. Like a mayor instead of a governor. Or, whatever. But so we've talked about this, become small. But now before we go into the next topic, the question that was in the room, do you want to address that now, or does that lead into the next topic?
Oh, I think it leads in, and hopefully we'll get to it. It's this person always introduces something, and you can tell this person is studying, and they bring up things, and I appreciate, and I truly love the thought that goes behind the question. It's always intriguing when this individual and comes on, because the question will be multi-pointed. It's not just one question. There's a great background, and you can tell the person has read and studied, and they're presuming several things. Some things I'm not always familiar with, but I've heard something about. So hopefully we'll get into it as we go along. Someone else just mentioned that Abraham and Isaac were both told that their children would be blessed. So both are blessed, for God does not break his promises. And I agree absolutely. But Ishmael was blessed and Esau was blessed.
Mm-hmm.
So those promises cannot be broken. Does that mean Ishmael and Esau are good guys or bad guys? Or maybe we shouldn't always look for the bad guy in every story.
How about
Maybe we should understand that, you know what, I am Esau.
How about I use Judaism's example towards that? And Judaism normally uses this in the direction of other religions and other peoples out there. But it is that whole mindset of, in Judaism, God gave us these rules. God told us to do these things. Does that make us better than you? Does that make us stronger than you? Does that make us richer than you, or poorer, or worse, or the villain, or the good guy? No. It just makes us different. This is my job. You have your job. We are not better. We are not worse. We are just different.
Interesting. Okay, I can buy that.
Yeah, that's the train of thought that I've always been led to view in Judaism. You never see, well, correction. My encounters, I don't know about other people's encounters with rabbis and other such people, but in my encounters with rabbis and other such people, I have never seen that attitude of, I am mightier than thou. No, I've only seen this is my job, that is your job. So long as we're not trying to kill each other, we can we can coexist all we want.
Yep. Yeah, I've met people that are, how shall I say? Well, you're just confused. You're trying to follow something that was done away with, and that's not true. And we know that it's not done away with. Even Messiah himself, Yeshua, said, "Not one jot or tittle will be gone until all of the law is completed." Still here. I'm
Yeah.
still looking at it.
Yeah, and it's like what Jesse was saying is okay. As individuals, you're going to come across individuals that, one will say they're of this religion or that religion or this philosophy or that political party, and you can come to find that this is a good person. I find no fault other than their philosophical outlook is different, and I cannot agree with it, whether it be because of religion or politics. But nonetheless, they're friends. They're good people.
Mhm.
And then we have a divisive point. And someone comes up and says, you must accept or believe this way, or you're damned.
Right.
And
Or
there,
in the case of
within
another
this,
religion, if you don't believe, then you're dead.
well, and again, I'm trying to be overarching on a philosophical perspective as opposed to religious or political. So we'll just go to political. You believe taxation or no taxation, or you believe for my entire lifetime, the largest divisive point, at least from the 70s until present, 1970s until present, is right to life or women's right to abortion, and it's become a political divisive point. So my friend the Democrat or my friend the Republican, but once it comes to this divisive point, I can no longer accept you if you believe this. And I've always found that amazing. My belief or my opinion, since it is 2.5 opinions, my opinion is not reality, but yet you're willing to kill me for my opinion. You're willing to divorce from me for my opinion. You're willing to argue and come against slander and gossip, stab me in the back, undermine me, or oppose me whatsoever because of my opinion. But my opinion is not reality, especially if you are strong in your own faith, in your own opinion, and you believe your opinion is reality. Then mine is no threat to yours if yours is reality. And we see this kind of played out a little bit between Jacob and Esau. We see two opinions. Esau is what? A mighty hunter. What does that mean? Because again, that word and that phrase for a human is only used 2 or 3 times in all of Tanakh. And we don't focus enough on what does it mean to be a mighty hunter. We have someone else that is a mighty hunter before God, and he turns out to be a horribly evil king. But nonetheless, the phrase is there. Esau has a different opinion, and it's fun. Whether you want to believe this is the Torah's absolute truth, fantasy, mythology, or just an analogy for how we should live, I don't care how you approach it. The Torah tells us these are twins.
Yep.
And that's what we should be looking at. 2 individuals came from the same mother and father at the same time, from the same womb, nourished and fed from the same breasts, from the same mouth. And they developed into 2 separate individuals, and they both became kings and princes in their own right.
In their own lands. Yeah.
What was the dividing point? That one is blessed by God, the other one is going to be blessed as well, but not have the blessing. A blessing, but not the blessing. This is the difference between a curse and a blessing. And that's where I always come back to with Moshe standing on the mountain and say, choose you this day, life or death. Well, who's going to choose death? That's stupid. That's inane. It makes no sense.
That's true.
But
But
if
in this day and age, we have people who choose death willingly.
Oh, but they're not. They don't see it as death, and nobody else standing at the mountain would understand it as, oh, gee, either I obey you or I die. Nobody saw it that way standing at the mountain. Nobody saw
Right.
that standing between the two mountains of Gerizim and Ebal. Nobody understood it this way at that point in time, nor throughout Judaism. Nobody understood it as this is an absolute choice. You either have to do it this way by these specific laws and decrees, or you're going to die. Nobody believed it that way. Why? Because we have this story and so many other stories where Cain and Abel are twins. According to Judaism, Cain and Abel are twins.
Right.
And according to certain sects in Christianity, they understand it as Cain and Abel are twins. And they come out and one takes a different path. How is it that I and my son can differ in certain things? I and my spouse can differ in certain things. I and my spiritual brother are going to differ in certain things until we get to the point of, you are now cut off. You're an anathema to me. And I will gossip and I will stab you in the back and I will talk bad about you, and you are banned and shunned from my group because of an opinion? An opinion? Wow, that's harsh.
Hmm.
How are you winning me over by banishing me? And so we don't see such a thing here. We actually see Jacob reaching out to Esau and humbling himself, just as we see with the Kanot. I have become small. And I think Moshe is using this purposely for the whole idea and philosophical mindset and approach to life that Jacob has. And it is this mindset that the future is going to be based on, not Esau's mindset. Esau, not a bad guy. He does bad things, but
right.
he's
Not a great
bad
guy either.
He honors his father.
Yeah.
You can't blame him on that one. He honors
Tries
his
to honor his mother by getting away from Ishmael.
Yes,
but
you see that the guy is trying to do right. He's just, his approach, his understanding, his outlook on life is askew, slightly off. Otherwise, he is the perfect twin and the perfect son of his father Isaac, the son of promise. How can the son of promise produce good and evil? No, they're both good. One is more.
Must have been something the mom ate.
One is more. And that is where Torah, for me, and this is my opinion because it's 2.5 opinions. My opinion is Torah is trying to get you to not focus so much on black and white. But yeah, this is good, but this is great.
Yeah. Or this is okay, but this over here is better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're given $1,000, and we're not worried about you being given $1,000 as a free gift and hoarding it or spending it on yourself. No, that's the self-serving person. We're not even discussing that person. We're discussing.
So I can't go out and buy a new AR. Darn it.
Exactly. We're discussing the person that gets $1,000 and is contemplating who to give money to.
Mm-hmm.
Do I give it to this person or do I give it to this person? I can only give to one. Which is the right one? They're both of need. They're both destitute. They're both of the right mind. They're both of my opinion. They're my religion, my faith, my political affiliation. Which one do I give it to? Oh darn, I gave it to the wrong guy. I'm Esau now, and that's why
never give it to a politician.
Yeah, and over I look at Esau and I say, who says you're not Esau? Why do you not think you're Esau? Because Jacob is the hero? I think we're missing the story sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, where is it stated that Esau or Jacob I have loved and Esau I have hated? I forget where that's at.
Yes, I know the verse you're talking about,
right.
And we read it as hated, which is not a bad translation of the word.
But it's not the best translation.
Jacob I have chosen, and Esau I have not.
Right.
And then you have to read it in context for what purpose. Because again, with the Hebrew language, everything has a purpose, and we're going towards that purpose. Esau is not the purpose of Messiah. Jacob is the purpose for Messiah.
So
that doesn't mean that I'm bad because the Messiah didn't come from my lineage.
True. But Messiah will come so that all peoples will come to him. So it just depends what you understand about the topic. And whether or not you look at it from multiple facets instead of just one direction, and you're always going in one direction. You've got your blinders on. You don't see what's going on the other side, to the right or to the left. So do we want to go to and he took them and brought them across the stream, and he took across what was his. Do we want to go there?
Okay.
This kind of seems out of left field. You might need to expound on what you're trying to hit at here.
And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. Dum, dum, dum.
Oh, the angel that wrestled with Jacob.
Yeah, yes. We want to go there?
Yeah, sure. Let's go there. We've got how much time do we have? We don't have much time. We always shoot for the bottom of the hour and
yeah, I know.
And slide to the top of the hour. But,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is going to be a long subject, but let's hit on some of the highlights. Jacob has just come from Padam Aram, and he divides his house into two camps. Interesting point there, because his father was divided into two camps, Jacob and Esau. Now Jacob is dividing his house into two camps, and he's going out to meet his brother. And his idea is, if one is lost, then at least I'll have something. I'm sorry, folks. I couldn't do that. I can't take my 5 sons and say, you two go over here and you two go over there. So that way, if you two are killed, at least I've got 2 left.
Right.
This sounds absurd to me.
Well, Judaism actually explains it. He's preparing for war that way. That way, he can cut and run one camp and then run into war and destroy.
But he's looking at his wives and his children as what's the military word for it? The collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of a video.
It's an acceptable loss to him.
That reminds me of a video where two guys came in looking like they were armed gunmen, and told the mom, you pick one of your 2 sons to kill, or we'll kill you. And then as soon as she pulls the trigger on one and sees that it misfires, the 2 armed gunmen said, well, now you know which one she would have killed. Deal with it how you will. And they leave.
Wow,
that's pretty.
So to me, to look at it on the face value of something like that, of Jacob is choosing, well, if he takes 2, at least or if he takes 6, at least I've got 6 left over, and I can do something with that.
Right.
That's almost morbid to me.
Well, it's not only that,
because nobody's saying you have to go into this battle to begin with.
Right,
Nobody's forcing into this. So there must be more to it. As we go forth, now Jacob is left alone.
Yeah.
Oh, and now comes, according to Judaism, a portion within a portion.
Mm-hmm.
The night of Jacob's troubles, the night of Jacob's sorrows, the night that Jacob is left alone and there is no one there to rescue him. And he is troubled with his own demons and his own thoughts. And this is the night that all of us face. Every single human faces this night. I lay awake in bed at night because my spouse did this or said that, or my boss is against me, or someone at work, or my parents, or my children, or whatever the situation may be. One of my my sons or my daughter has cancer, God forbid, my father, or whatever it may be. We all face this night, and we're struggling within these demons and doubt and did I understand God and did I hear God correctly? And now Jacob is wrestling with this. The end result is an angel, a melech. Our Torah portion starts out with a melech.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob sends out melechim, messengers, and here a melech, a messenger, comes and wrestles with him. The end result is Jacob's name is changed. The angel says that your name is Jacob. For here on out, you're going to be called Israel because you have wrestled with God and man and have survived. Really, has survived, but overcome.
Right.
And later on in our Torah portion, near the end, we're going to see that God shows up after Jacob has come from Padam Aram. Interesting. And God is going to say, your name is Jacob, but here no longer is your name going to be Jacob. It's going to be Israel. And he then proceeds with a blessing. In the first encounter with the angel blessed him, but we don't know what the blessing is. In the second encounter, we get the full blessing from God. So there is a school of thought that says both of these encounters are the same. Much like when Abraham rushed out to meet 3 melechim, one stayed with Abraham and 2 went to Sodom. One destroyed Sodom and the third went with Lot and helped Lot escape. And the idea is a melechim is nothing more, or an angel is nothing more than a messenger from God and cannot do anything that God has not told him to do.
Right. Typically, it's referred to as they have one mission.
Yeah, and that's and Judaism will pine it down to that, as they have one mission, and once that mission is completed, then the angel disappears. There's a difference between lower angels, mid angels, and higher angels, and it's the lower angels that we always see as a melech or melechim, and then we get named angels and the archangels, and there's differences between those. The point is that God speaks something, and that spoken word now becomes an angel to carry out God's word. Ecclesiastes and Proverbs, and I think it's in Isaiah as well, they all confirm this, that the idea that my word will go forth and will not return to me void, or in other words, it will not return to me without accomplishing what it's supposed to accomplish.
Right. And there are many schools of thought on who this angel is. Some of the sources within Judaism will say it's actually the sand that was on the island or the other side of the river that clung to him, and he was trying to get it off because it was constricting him for some reason. He was basically fighting against himself, which is not unprecedented in the way you think of things. As you brought up many times, there's an animal side and a spiritual side. Which one are you feeding? Which one are you taking care of? Which one is actually taking dominance in your life? And that's what he's wrestling with. He's wrestling with himself. But here it says it's an angel. Okay, so
and a side of Judaism says this is Esau's angel,
right.
Esau's guardian angel, because every nation has a guardian angel, and since Esau is going to become a nation, since it was decreed already while he was an infant in his mother's womb that there's 2 nations warring within you, then the angel that's over the nation of Esau has now come to wrestle with Jacob. For what reason? And Judaism doesn't quite answer that.
No.
Because we've got to ask these questions at times. Why this and not something else? So why would an angel of Esau come and wrestle with Jacob?
Because they didn't have cell phones?
Probably.
Okay.
But Jacob sent out all kinds of messengers, melechim, and here a messenger, melechim, or Melech, has come to Jacob and wrestled with him. And what is the message? Because after all, if I send out if I text you, Frank, and you're going to wrestle with this text, there still is a text there. There's still a message there.
Mm-hmm.
What message is Jacob wrestling with? What is the message that Jacob is wrestling with?
You're no longer
Because
Jacob. You're Israel.
Because Amalek is a messenger. So what is the message? And I dare pose to you, the message is given later on when God changes Jacob's name. And he tells him, this is the blessing. The first encounter, it says the angel blessed him and he's got to run away because day is breaking.
Right.
Well, now you've got to understand the spiritual implications of night and day within Judaism. And then we see with God, there's no aspect of night and day when God changes Jacob's name later on. But we have the blessing. Is it possible that Jacob is wrestling with the blessing? Because Jacob has already said, I am insignificant. I have become small because of your mercies and your faithfulness. I don't deserve this. How can I live up to such a great thing that you've bestowed upon me? And he's wrestling with this. How do I do this? I have 12 sons, 2 wives, and a
2
slew
concubines and
a slew of concubines, and my 2 wives, they're actually sisters. That goes against Torah. I'm wrestling with all kinds of things here. My firstborn is going to usurp my wedding bed. My secondborn is going to be disqualified. Then I'm going to have 2 sons that's going to kill off an entire village. I mean, it goes on and on. He's wrestling with the whole idea. How can I be chosen for such an existential great thing that the Messiah will come as a result of me and my actions? I am a failure. And we all wrestle with this over and over in everything we do.
It's a almost like as an analogy. Okay, everybody, this is Frank's opinion. Be warned. It's almost as if Jacob is trying to train or corral or work with 12 different horses, okay, and to try and get them into a team to accomplish one mission. And he's looking at them and going, okay, this one's this way and this one's this way and that one and that one and that one. And so how am I going to get them to become a cohesive unit? Okay, one team going in the direction that they're supposed to be going in.
But what parent, male or female, what parent has not looked at their station in life at a specific point in time and said, I have failed in everything.
Right.
My children are this, my spouse is this, my parents are that, and my grandchildren, whatever it may be. I mean, homosexuality is rampant today.
Yeah.
How many people in our listening audience have been affected with a family member, whether direct or extended family member, has turned to homosexuality or turned away from God completely?
Yeah.
And you wrestle with this. If I failed in some way or some aspect, could you imagine Jacob, the father of the 12 tribes? This is the last patriarch that establishes Israel, and his name is being changed. You're no longer Jacob. You are now the purpose for Abraham, your grandfather. The blessings and the encounters that Abraham had, the change in humanity because of Abraham, now rests upon you and will be established within you.
Right. And this is the thing that they said in one of the commentaries, is that you are the pathway for Messiah. That's what Jacob is being told. Through you, Messiah will come. You're the pathway. That's a great responsibility.
It's even more than that, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Yes, you're absolutely right, Frank. But it's even more than that. Is the purpose of Abraham is you, Jacob. Abraham, the promise of developing a nation was given to Abraham. It was given to Isaac. You are the nation, Jacob. That's why your name is being changed, just as Abraham's name was changed. Daddy's name wasn't changed. Isaac, he didn't get a name change. Daddy didn't get the blessing of Abraham that you're getting right now through this name change. And Jacob is wrestling with this. Am I worthy? I am not worthy. And when you're faced with the reality of son, daughter of God, the world will be changed on account of how you act from this moment on.
It's a heavy burden.
Are you willing to accept this burden? No. We all scream in unison, no. The nations scream no. Only Israel said, okay, we'll obey and then we'll listen.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies the difference. Therein is the night of Jacob's sorrows, the night of Jacob's troubles. And so when we get to that point where the entire world is against us and we say, God, why did you choose me? Why am I even holding on to this? Or as I've said over and over at work in jest most of the time is, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'll do whatever. I don't care. And then I turn around and I say, why do I care so much that I'm going to struggle against everybody that says, oh, just take the easy way? No.
Right.
No, I can't take the easy way. Why should I care so much that I go against the stream, that I go against the winds, that I go against the zeitgeist, the spirit of the day, that I go against so many things for the sole purpose of establishing truth in this world?
Kamzu letova.
Yeah, this too is for good. So Jesse, you're awful quiet over there, and
Oh, I'm being awful quiet because before this show started, there was a branch I wanted to take only because you never hear anyone talk about it, or you very rarely hear anyone talk about it.
Go for it.
Considering the train we're currently on, this could be an easy branch off now. We've got an entire chapter focused solely on the generations of Esau. That's kind of out of place because I don't even think Ishmael gets that much of a listing.
you're right. He doesn't get as much attention on his descendants as Esau gets.
Yeah, after all,
So yeah,
Ishmael, he was just,
we kind of hinted at it earlier with the whole Cheetans thing, but yeah, go ahead, run with it.
Well, there was one branch off that I did find rather interesting. Now, granted, because this is kind of a last minute thing, I might need the help of my aides with this one, but
You have AIDS?
wrong kind of aides.
Now wait a second. We're his aides? Come on.
Oh,
Okay, whatever you want, Jesse. That's fine.
not what I was saying either, but we'll expound. So the interesting thing I did notice, because I've been struggling through all of this to see what is it that's drawing my eyes to the subject of Esau's generations. And I came across a teaching over it, and it popped out towards me. If you follow along with me, we've got Genesis chapter 36, and we'll just read the first couple of verses. And I'm going to read from Chabad's translation. These are the generations of Esau, that is Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, daughter of Zibeon the Hivite. Also Basmath, the daughter of Ishmael, sister of Nebaioth. And it goes on, starts listing off the children that those daughters have from there.
Okay, let's stop for just a second. Is it not amazing that of all the people that are listed in Torah, not everybody is, but Esau's descendants get the honor of being listed for all eternity in Torah? Go ahead.
To expound on that, it's rather interesting because something was caught later on. If I scroll down to where I last saw it, yes, here it is. If we go down to, let me double check. Where did I see it? I lost it. Hold on 2 seconds.
All right, as you're looking for it, in verse 6, it says that Esau took everything that he had and he left Canaan because of his brother Jacob. What does that mean? Does it mean that Jacob was stronger than him? Better than him?
Where else do we see that?
Holier
Where
than
else do we
him.
see that?
Yeah, we see a separation.
He was actually given everything.
Yeah, Abraham and Lot. There's a separation. We see separations here, but here Esau is making the decision. He doesn't have to leave.
Peacefully.
But peacefully he leaves. For their possessions were too numerous for both nations to dwell together. Wow, kind of like back in the womb again. And the land of their sojournings could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau dwelt on Mount Seir, Esau. That will forever be called Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the progenitor of Edom on Mount Seir. And now we go through the listing again, but go ahead, Jesse. You found your spot?
But if you continue just right there, these are the name of Esau's sons. Starting right back up where we had originally picked up. Eliphaz, son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Ruel, the son of Besmath, the right of Esau. And then the sons of the sons. We left out a third wife somewhere.
Yeah, we did, but go ahead.
But
Esau has 3 wives, and he also has concubines, and we're listing only some of those descendants who are going to play an important part in some way, whether it's their children or their grandchildren or their children's children. They play an important part throughout. Are they necessarily evil? Cursed for all eternity? You didn't accept Jesus, so therefore you're damned and going to spend eternity in hell? Is that how we're supposed to look at this, or should we be looking at it as, I am not worthy of what? The temple being built. David and his sons. I am not worthy of, and you go through the biblical stories. My name's not listed here. Your name's not listed here. Who are we to look down upon Esau, as opposed to, should we not learn from Esau and recognize something about Esau? But go ahead, Jesse.
And a learning from Esau is a perfect place to start with this one, because the strange thing is it leaves out Olabama from time to time in certain areas. Now, granted, it'll pick her back up later, but the puzzling thing is not only does it leave her out in certain areas, it also goes on to say she's daughter of Anna, daughter of Zibeon. And if we travel down even further, the wording is confusing, because we find out that later on Anna is the son of Zibeon. So if it was going to be properly done, you would think that it would say daughter of Anna and go on to Anna, son of Zibeon, instead of saying daughter of Anna, daughter of Zibeon. It's a puzzling transition that's going on here. And the strange thing I've heard suggested about it usually implies something had transpired in that wife, in the son, in that section of Esau's genealogy. Something went wrong, something went awry, that caused not a disownment, but a separation. You don't become part of the inheritance because your choices are this.
Whoa, I'm hearing a strange echo. We really need to start wrapping this up. There's so many interesting things that Jesse, I think you've really tapped onto something, and I wish we had taken time to really research this and go into it, because there is one thing of note that comes up, and it's in verse 33. Bela died, and again, we're talking about the descendants of Esau here. Bela died, and Joab, and we're going to come across Joab later again, son of Zerah of Basra. Now, Basra is a region a people, a city. And this is going to come up very prominent again in Isaiah, where speaking of the Messiah, in both religions, Christianity and Judaism, they agree with this. The Messiah comes up from Basra with his garments stained red with blood.
Mm.
So what is it about Esau and Basra that Esau, given to his own tastes and his own intuitions, will result in a judgment that he didn't deserve at the time of Jacob?
I don't know.
What is it in our own lives that God allows us to live, though we're guilty and punishable by death? We can say Jesus, we can say Yeshua, we can say whatever we want to believe that allows us to sleep better at night. But we all must wrestle with the struggles that Jacob wrestled with during the night. Am I worthy of even life? Am I worthy of the blessings and the mercies that you've bestowed upon me, O King of the universe? And if we're not wrestling with that, if we're rest assured upon somebody else's teaching about some form or fashion of salvation, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but if we're not resting with, what am I doing with the present? What am I doing with the parable of the help me out, Frank?
Son?
No, the parable of the talents.
Oh, the talents, yeah.
What am I doing with the talents that you have given me? Have I buried them in the sand? Have I misapplied them? Because God, you're going to take an accounting of this. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, whether you believe in Yeshua or not, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, I don't care who you are, what you are, you're still going to be held accountable to God for what God has given you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to be able to claim, well, rabbi this or preacher that. You're not going to be able to claim and plead the blood of Jesus at that point in time. You're standing before the Creator naked.
On your own
and
2
your
feet.
beliefs are going to count for nothing. What you believe in your head means nothing. What you did with the talents, even according to Yeshua in the New Testament, what you did with the talents that God gave you is what you're going to be judged on.
So could you say that you can't get away with just saying a prayer and a few words and say, okay, I've got my fire insurance, I'm good, and then go on and live the way, you know?
Yeah, there's no easy answer, Frank.
Right.
I'm not giving an easy answer. I'm not
No.
giving an easy out. I'm not going to say that that just because I believe on Yeshua, now all my sins are forgiven and I can't be judged.
Yeah, but
Because
then again,
even
Paul
Yeshua
said you had to
says
run
you're
the
gonna-
race to the end. So
Yeah, but even Yeshua is giving us this parable of the talents.
right.
He's not saying because you believed in him, you don't have to worry about the Creator coming back and calling onto account, doing a reckoning of the talents he gave you.
Right.
Jesus doesn't give you that out.
Right. He even said to the harlot, whoever the harlot was, go and sin no more. He didn't destroy her on the spot. He realized that there's room for improvement.
And maybe that's what it is with Esau. And I'm speculating here.
Me too.
I'm throwing things out of maybe that's why Esau's descendants are enumerated in such great detail, or at least the detail that they're given to us.
Right. Because
Esau had the ability as a nation and a great leader, a great person. I'm not a nation. I'm not a leader. I'm not a king. I'm not a prince. And I don't know of anybody in our audience or anybody I've met that is in this position. We're dealing with leaders of nations, leaders that will influence the world. I can only have influence that small surrounding that I meet with day to day. And what am I doing with that talent?
Right. I do have one thing to add to Jesse's question about the listing. and what might have happened. And it's a speculation on my part. I want to make sure everybody understands that. But Oholibama is a name that is used in Tanakh as a person who's in Israel, who's in the kingdom, who is a practicing Judaism. Okay, Oholibama. So is it possible that the clash in the family was because they chose Israel's way instead of Esau's way? It's speculation.
I think it's very possible because we have the name that's going to be repeated several times in this Torah portion of Oholibama, and in verse 41, Oholibama now becomes a chief,
Mhm.
and
I was about to say
we've got to be careful with names sometimes, and
Right.
that's where it is. The Torah itself, especially when we're looking at this and we're trying to go through genealogies of anybody and anything, the Torah begs of us to look at other places to back up or to substantiate this genealogy, because Oholibama is at one place a wife and then another place becomes a chief. I'm not saying they cannot be the same person,
Right?
but there's different teachings on this.
Right. But my point to that was that in Judaism, it's okay to name one of your children, grandchildren for someone else that is in your family tree, not necessarily the father to the son, but it's okay to say for David to call his son Solomon, who might have been called Solomon somewhere else in his family, or this one, Oholibama. That name is kept alive inside Judaism because that's the way that those are passed down through the families.
Our Torah portion ends with these words: "That is Esau, the source of the Edomites." We just listed all the Edomites. Some side with Israel. The majority go against Israel. Some become decent people and they die off in obscurity. Some remain of names of great evils that come against Israel and the God of Israel,
Amalek.
And so I remember when Jesse had just turned 13, and I'm trying to think of the things that, what could my father have done to change my life? What words would I have ever listened to and believed? What is there a single instance that my father could have done something to have saved me from the evils and the torments that I had to live through before I became what I am? And I couldn't think of anything. So I took Jesse out to a graveyard. And I said, Jesse, choose, because there's multiple roads, and he just did the face, the palm plant to the face thing here, because he knows what I'm talking about. I said, Jesse, choose a road, choose a path. And he said, well, turn right here. I said, okay, tell me when to turn left or right again. And he turns left. And I said, okay, now as we're going through here, choose an area. And he chooses an area. I said, now within this area, we're going to stop the car and you choose a headstone. And he says, that one over there. And so we walk up to the headstone. And I said, read to me what it says on that headstone. And he reads it. I said, wow, you and I, we don't know who this person is. We chose this person at random. The only thing we know about this person is what is written on their headstone. Tell me what you know about this person. Well, it says beloved father and etc. And that's it, isn't it? When was this person born? Well, it says on this date. And when did this person die? It says on this date. And what's in between that? Well, there's just this line, a dash. So everything about this person is summed up in a dash. And it was years later that there was a country music singer that came up with a song that was reminiscent of this encounter that Jesse and I had. I mean, seriously, it was years later, and I was shocked when I heard the song. But nonetheless, the point is, what does that dash mean for you? How are you filling up that dash? And that was the point that I left with Jesse at that point in time was, What do you want that dash to represent for you? Because in the end of everything, you're 13 years old. You're at the point where you are now taking a responsibility and accountability for your actions. From this point on, this is your birth date. Until the day you die, what do you want that dash to represent? And this is what we have of Esau. We don't have this of very many people in Torah. But of Esau, we have a bunch of names listed. Some are for evil. Some not bad. I don't see my name there. I don't see Frank there. I don't see Jesse here. I don't see the names. I don't see Mark. I don't see Monty Judah. I don't see names of the people that are important in my life today here. But Esau, for good or for bad, his descendants are listed in Torah. What am I to take of this? Was Esau an evil person or just not as good as Jacob?
Or, as you said before, not chosen.
Not chosen, yeah. Why was he not chosen? I want to be chosen. I want to be important. Oh, so did Esau.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob
Wrong reasons, though.
Jacob didn't want to be important. Jacob didn't want to be chosen. And then when he was chosen and made important, he said, "You've made me even smaller. I am insignificant. Why would you choose me?" He didn't say, "Well, by gosh, it's about time you took acknowledge of me. I've been overlooked for years here. Look at all the sufferings that I went through. And you, where were you, God?" He might have done that to Laban, but he didn't do that to God.
Right.
Well, it's
it's
my
interesting.
time. I'm important. I should get the Nobel Prize. I should be the preacher. I should be teaching this. I should be. Jacob never said that.
Right. And this is
Esau did, but Jacob didn't.
This is amazing that you mentioned about Jesse and being 13 years old and taking responsibility, because according to Judaism, in this portion, that's where they get the idea that the age of 13 is the age of manhood, of taking responsibility for your actions.
And you think I mentioned that by happenstance? But go ahead.
No, I know better. Come on.
That's different story.
We don't have enough time to go into it.
So I'm done wrapping up what I'm going to wrap up. Jesse, Frank?
Yeah. Okay, Jesse, how do we wrap up?
Oh, I don't know, Brian. Wrap up then. No. Just
fine, Pinky. I guess the only way to say is choose for you this day, whether you choose life or death. Simply because it's not, as you said, it's what are you going to do? Which part of you are you going to feed? The rabbis talk about, yes, you can have your mind in the clouds. You can, seek spiritual stuff, but you've got to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground so you can walk forward. So how do you do that? That's a delicate juggling act. And we all face it. We all have to go through it. We have to choose. What are we going to do? And personally, I try to choose God every day. I try. I'm human. I fail. I make mistakes. I get yelled at in the office for doing something, and I go, "Well, but you said that's not what I meant." Okay. So yeah, it's an everyday occurrence. It's an everyday thing. It's a common factor in life. How do you choose? What do you choose? When do you choose? So that's my final words.
And for me, this portion has been a fun one, an interesting one, and I would say that this is one of choice of difference. And to explain, it's from what you see with Jacob and Esau, they, even all the way up to this point, throughout this portion, you thought they were going to kill each other. At the very end, they actually came to a peaceable agreement of sorts. They came to an agreement that at least allowed some level of a stalemate, something that wouldn't. Esau was no longer as determined to kill his brother, even after they buried Isaac.
And it's almost commendable that Esau said, I'll leave.
And that's where I'm going with this, is he left afterwards and started his own nation and came to a ceasefire of all hostilities, if you will, because you hear of a great nation that is developed through the chieftains over on brain
Seir.
work. Yes, Mount Seir. Thank you. My mind flashed for a minute there.
All right, we're gonna have to speed it up because we got.
Yes,
about
I get it.
2
I
minutes.
get it. But it's that whole thought process of, it's amazing what time, separation, and a little bit of leniency and willing to take a of the knee can do to a relationship of any kind.
For the right person in the right circumstance, I agree wholeheartedly. I guess the only thing that I was trying to get at with all of this is not so much as an apologetics of Esau. It's not a defense of Esau as much as, why do we want to put Esau as the devil, as the bad guy, as evil? Why must there always be an absolute good and an absolute evil, when over and over in Torah we see that it's not the absolutes that are important, it is the difference between good and better.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that amazing that God is concerned. He's already expecting good. There's good, and then there's better. That's okay, but this is perfection. God is expecting perfection out of you. Not in a heavy weight.
They left me. They might have had a problem with their home router. Sometimes it happens. So I guess I'm just going to have to say good night. And this is 2.5 Opinions. And thank you for listening. See you next week. Okay. I guess we're going to close the room, so. Okay. Remember, the short, disclaimer here is, if your speakers break or your computer breaks because I sing, I am in no way liable for any damages caused by that or any cameras that take my picture, okay? So, let me see if I can remember the song. Let me see. Do I remember the words? Okay. Mizmor Shir, Shir Le'yom HaShabbos. 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 The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. And I am also waiting to sing the song of
of Shabbos. I am also waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. The flowers and the trees sing the song of Shabbos. The valleys and the mountains sing the song of Shabbos. The stars in the skies sing the song of Shabbos. The angels in heaven sing the song of Shabbos. The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. And I am also waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. I am also waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. I saw 6 million dying. They sang the song of Shabbos. I hear 3 million crying to sing the song of Shabbos. Stop all the hatred, sing the song of Shabbos. Love one another, sing the song of Shabbos. Dance on the street, sing the song of Shabbos. Dance on the street, sing the song of Shabbos. The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. The whole world is waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. And I am also waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. Mizmor Shir, Shir Leyom HaShabbos. There. Are you happy now, Charlotte? Do it again, do it again. Come on, will you?